Hi, everybody, and welcome to one of our last few weeks. You've done a great job with this online transition, and I'm proud of the work that you submitted. And now you are working on this week, the last major assignment that you have that we've been building up to all semester long, and that's your essay for argumentative research paper. So I wanted to do this video in order to present the type of format that you should look at using. So I know that this last week you were integrating quotes and writing your paragraph and picking just one paragraph to work on and just integrate research into. And that's really important. Now, this week, I want to show you basically an outline of what your entire research paper could look like and the parts that it should consist of. So writing a research paper is unique, just like writing an expository paper is unique, or writing a compare contrast paper is unique. So there's a certain format that's good to follow, and I love this handout for that purpose. So it shows you different ways to format your argumentative paper, to organize it. And of course, there are always multiple ways to do everything, right? But I love this way because I think this is how I've been talking to you about how you're going to create your paper. Okay, so let's start in the beginning here. So with the introduction, I'm just going to scroll up here. So in a paper, you're creating a paper from 8 to 10 pages, right, roughly. So in a research paper of that length, it's appropriate to have 1 to 2 paragraphs for your introduction. If you just have 1 paragraph for your intro, that's fine. If you have 2, that's fine. Okay, if you have 3, then you really might be putting a little too much pressure on your intro. And by your 3rd paragraph, you really should be starting your paper, your real discussion. So remember that the purpose of the intro is to kind of ease the reader into this new subject matter that they probably don't know anything about. So remember that when you're writing a research paper, you're the subject matter expert, okay? So you're the one teaching us how to think about this topic the way that you do. So do whatever you can to make that interesting, to hook your readers, to draw them in. And we've worked with different tactics that have been used. So the other thing that's important about the intro is it's like a debriefing almost. You're not only introducing them to the topic, but you're introducing them to information that they probably just don't know on their own. So it's really important for background information to be divulged at this point so that everybody can be on the same page before they move forward. So if you look down below here, I've got a separate paragraph that says background paragraph. So this is why I said the intro could be 1 to 2 paragraphs tops. So if you're just using your intro for the purpose of introducing your topic and kind of easing them into the debate, right, that's taken place around this topic, then that's 1 paragraph. And then if you do background information, you can either make that a part of your intro or you can have it be a separate paragraph. Okay, so I'm including the background information up here and I'm saying, hey, whatever we need to know in order to understand where you're coming from, you need to tell us that up front. So you can either put that in the intro or you can create an entirely separate paragraph and do a background paragraph. Okay, this is something that you need in this paper. So this is something I definitely expect to see. And background paragraph is something that I've been using that term with you now the last week or so, and last week to 2 weeks, and saying, oh, this would be great for your background paragraph. And so this is what I meant by that. Now your background paragraph should be around 1 to 2 paragraphs tops. So that's why I said it could be a part of your intro. But if there's a lot of background that you have to give us, then it might need to be 2 paragraphs. Okay, so that's what that means. And I'll come back to background paragraph. Back to the intro, the last thing that you need is, of course, your claim. So I want you to state that claim at the end of your introductory paragraph. And I've explained to you what that is. I wrote that on the board, I remember, in some classes. And I want to just tell you now, remember that your claim should have a responsible party. There has to be somebody responsible for doing the thing that you say should be done, or for putting a stop to the thing that you say should be stopped. Okay, so the whole idea is that X should or should not happen, and that there is a responsible party for X, okay, for it happening or not happening. So that's your claim. Okay, so now to the background paragraph. So this is where you're educating us, essentially, on everything that we need to know. Like I said, 1 to 2 paragraphs tops. The whole purpose is laying the foundation for proving your argument. So you've got to tell us the things that we need to know before we keep reading and get confused. That means that if you're going to discuss works, for example, like other research or something, if you're going to focus heavily on the analysis of research, then you would give us a summary of the works being discussed. Now, for most of you, don't have to do that, okay? Because this is a research paper, you're using multiple sources and you're probably using them fairly equally, so you don't have to do that. But what you should do in your background paragraph is a definition of key terms. That's really important. You should also include an explanation of key theories. That's also important. So for some of you, you're going to have key theories that you're going to mention as potential solutions or potential opposing viewpoints in your paper. Now, not everyone will have this, but a background paragraph is definitely helpful if you're explaining key terms, if you're explaining the history of something. So I know one of you, for example, is writing about vaccines. So you need to explain the history of vaccines. Actually, a few of you are, but the history of vaccines and so how vaccines have been used in the past, how they've been viewed in the past. That's going to be helpful, I think, for people to know. It kind of sets the precedence of what has occurred. That's important for your reader to understand. Okay, then you're moving on to your first body paragraph. So every body paragraph will be set up in this way. There's a very formulaic way of writing these in research papers. And so remember, and so you've worked with this already, but I want to emphasize what you're supposed to do with the research once you've included it. So remember that the purpose of every body paragraph is to prove your argument. This is where you deposit your evidence. Okay, this is where you include your research. I strongly recommend that you include one topic per body paragraph, just as any good paragraph would contain. And so for your topic sentence is what signals what that point is. Okay, this is like your key point. What is one item, fact, or detail that you can tell your readers that will help them to better understand your claim or your paper topic? Your sentence should be the topic sentence for this paragraph. So you've worked with these already. When you did your rough outline and I told you to ask questions and put those questions in the order that they should be answered in your paper, those are going to turn into your topic sentences, okay? So you already have those in place in question form. Now your job will be to create statements from those questions. Okay, so now you're declaring a statement, and then you're explaining what you mean by that. There's a little bullet point here for explain your topic sentence. If your topic sentence needs more explanation, then of course you should follow up with that. You may or may not need to do this depending on how direct and narrow your topic sentence is. If it's a little more broad, you may need to break it down for us. Now, once you've included what your main point is, then remember, when we did Toolman model, I know you never thought that I was going to say that in the last few weeks, but when we did Toolman model, remember what the claim is backed by. The claim is backed by reasons. The reasons are your topic sentences, okay? Those are your reasons for why your claim is true. So just keep that logic in mind. Okay, so once you've given us the reason, you have to give us evidence to support it. How do we know that your reason is valid? How do we know that it's true? How do we know we can trust it? you introduce the evidence, okay? And this is a little follow-up to integrating quotes. So you're going to introduce your evidence further in a few words, and so I have an example here. As Dr. Brown states, and then you introduce your quote, or you can create a full sentence that's going to introduce what you're going to deliver next, such as this: to understand this issue, we first need to look at statistics. Okay, I did a whole video last week, remember, when I was showing you how to integrate evidence, and this is what you were practicing as you were working with that. So just keep that in mind. Go back and look at that video if you're like, I don't know what to do here. So that's introducing the evidence. Then you state the evidence, okay? What examples, facts, statistics, quotations, reasons can you give here that would be support from other sources that indicate how you can prove, support, or explain your topic sentence, which is, your reason, one of your reasons for believing what you believe. And then you have to explain your evidence. Oh, this is so important. So I think that when we use quotes, we kind of think, oh, the evidence is just going to speak for itself, but it never does. It never does. Quotes do not speak for themselves. It's absolutely 100% necessary to interpret the evidence that you've provided for us. Tell us how the evidence can prove the point that you're trying to make in that paragraph. Can it be 1 to 3 sentences in length? That would be a good measure of you actually explaining what you've just told us. And so what happens is this kind of follows this really cute, it's like an old preacher's rubric, I suppose, if I want to call it that, for how to preach or how to convince people to believe something, how to talk to people. And so you have to tell them, and that's when you're introducing your evidence. You got to tell them. To first understand this issue, we're going to look at statistics. That's telling them. We're going to tell them, and then you're going to state evidence. You got to tell them again, right? To give them the actual facts. And then you're going to tell them what you told them, okay? And that's the most important part. You have to tell them what you told them. I'm telling you this, and here's what this means. Here's how you should think about this. Here's how you should synthesize this information. That's what this step does. Incredibly important. This holds more weight than the actual quote that you use, because the quote by itself is meaningless in your paper unless you can do this step. So remember to explain your evidence. And then, of course, like every good paragraph, you're going to have a concluding sentence. You will end your paragraph with a concluding sentence that reasserts how the topic sentence helps us better understand or prove your paper's overall claim. Okay, so let me explain this because this sounds simple enough, but this is a really important step. And I think that the more that we write papers, the more we kind of let this go by the wayside. So here's why this is really important. You need to do this step because this is what ties the key point expressed in your topic sentence, or in Tolman method, your reason for why what you say is true is actually true. It ties that, right? Your topic sentence all the way, ties this topic sentence all the way back up to your claim in the introduction. So you've got kind of these lines that you're drawing from every body paragraph back up to your claim. So this means that you're reminding your reader of why you're telling them all of this in the first place, okay? You have to do that for every single body paragraph. So I've included this, you see this bullet point. By the way, I got this handout from another school's writing and research center. It's excellent. I love it. And so that's why I have continued to use it again and again in my argumentative research writing classes. It's the gift that keeps on giving. When we come back, I'm going to talk about including your naysayer and your conclusion. Stay tuned for the next video.